Last discourse ended with the last verse of the 15th chapter, where Krishna tells Arjuna and all of us, Tasmat shastram pramanante karya akarya vyavasthitau jnatva shastra vidhanoktam karma kartum iha arhasi. Therefore, let Shastra be your pramana. Shastra in the sense science, physical, science, spiritual. Normally, it is meant only science, spiritual. But in daily life, since we have developed so many sciences to ensure health and welfare of the human being, today it means also science, physical, science, spiritual, shastram, pramanam, jnana sadhanam, Shankara comments, the means to attain spiritual knowledge, spiritual realization, but also keeping the body and mind fit and fine. In either way, Shastra is to be our guide. Tasmat shastram pramanante karya akarya vyavasthitau. When it comes to ethics and morality, this wonderful expression, karya akarya, what is to be done, what should not be done. In this choice, follow Shastra, follow the science of spirituality. That is the expression. Karya akarya vyavasthitau jnatva shastra vidhanoktam. After knowing what has been given to us in Shastra, karma kartum iha arhasi. You are entitled to do work in this world, in this life. The work has been the theme. That work, if it is done in the light of a science of human development, or, as I often quote Sir Julian Huxley, a science of human possibilities, that's exactly the function of Vedanta, a science of human possibilities. So, whatever work you do, what you should avoid, what you should continue to perform, in finding the choice between the two, take recourse to the guidance of the Shastra. Jnatva shastra vidhanoktam karma kartum iha arhasi. You are entitled to work here in this world under the guidance of Shastra, from which you will achieve maximum benefit. Health. Why should I go to a mere quack for getting some medicine? I shall go to one who knows the science of health and the science of medicine. Similarly also in many other aspects, better to depend upon verified and verifiable knowledge, which is science, physical as well as spiritual. This is the best guide for human life. So he ended chapter 16 with this wonderful statement. Today we enter chapter 17. Here Arjuna gets opportunity to put a question, and the chapter begins with Arjuna's question. Arjuna uvacha ye shastra vithim utsrijya yajante shraddhayanvitaha tesham nishtha tuka krishna sattvamaho rajastama. What is the fate of that person who doesn't take the guidance of Shastra, but he does all his work with great faith, great shraddha. What is his condition? What is his state? Is it sattvam, aho, rajas, tamaha? Is it sattvic? Is it rajasic? Is it tamasic? Now these are three forces in nature, naturally in the human life also. Our mind can be sattvic, our mind can be rajasic, our mind can be tamasic as well. So Arjuna wants to know all human actions in the light of this three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. This subject has come several times earlier. Again, it will come. It has so much to do with human life. Therefore, in this chapter and some in the next chapter also verses deal with the subject of human action, human attitude, human interaction in the light of sattva, rajas and tamas. So that is the question. A person does his work with great shraddha, utsrijya, without guidance from shastra, but shraddhayanvitaha yajante, sacrifices or performs spiritual activities. What kind of fate awaits him? Those setting aside the ordinances of the shastra, they perform sacrifice with shraddha, with faith. What is their condition? O Krishna, is it sattva, rajas or tamas? That is the Arjuna's question. The Bhagavan now begins to give answer in a series of verses. The first, Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Trividha bhavati shraddha dehinam sa svabhavaja satviki rajasi chaiva tamasi cheti tam shrunu. Please listen to me when I tell you about the operations of these three gunas on a human being. Trividha bhavati shraddha. Shraddha can belong to three types. Dehinam, for every human being. Dehi means one who has a body, who lives in a body. Deha is body. Dehi, the embodied person. Sa svabhavaja, this is natural to him. This particular orientation of his character and conduct is natural to him from satviki. If it is satviki, it is one type. Then rajasi, then tamasi. I shall tell you about them. According to human temperament, human nature, people behave in a sattviki way, so far as Shraddha is concerned, or Rajasi, or Tamasi. So Shraddha belongs to these three categories arising from the predisposition of the individual concerned. Svabhavaja. 1. Sattvanurupa sarvasya Shraddha bhavati bharata Shraddhamayoyam purusho yo yat shraddhasa eva saha. The Shraddha of each individual is according to his or her natural disposition. That is a fine expression. There is a natural disposition of a human being, the assets and liabilities in his own mind. That disposition dictate to the Shraddha that is to be. The man consists, every human being consists of his or her Shraddha. Shraddhamayoyam purusho. A human being is that much according to the quantum of Shraddha and the quality of Shraddha he or she possesses. The Shraddhamayoyam purusho. This Purusha, this individual, I am in this, is according to his or her shraddha. And that is repeated once again, yo yat shraddhasa eva saha. Verily, what is his or her shraddha is himself. That means he is according to the shraddha which he has within himself or herself. So there is nature of this natural disposition coming. Out of that, a certain attitude to life, a certain faith. Shraddha actually means faith. Faith in oneself, faith in others, faith in the truth of the world. All this is shraddha. That shraddha comes from one's own natural disposition, and a human being can be measured in terms of his or her shraddha. So, yajante satvika devan yaksha rakshamsi rajasaha pretan bhodakanamshanye yajante tamasa janaha. When it comes to sacrifice or worship or yajna, we are now confining ourselves to this particular department of life. A person is worshipping God. What is the way he worships? The way he worships or she worships will depend upon his or her shraddha. That depends upon the quality of rajas, tamas or sattva predominating within the individual. So in the first instance, Gita is telling, yajande satvika devan. Those who are sattvic-minded people, they worship gods, divine beings, devan. And those who are rajasic-minded, yaksha rakshamsi, is yaksha and rakshasa. These are some demoniac, non-human beings, certain powers. So many such things are understood in our earlier literature. People used to worship yakshas. Even in Buddhistic time, Buddha's time, we will find yaksha and yakshi, two types of what you call masculine, feminine variety of semi-divine beings. They are sometimes favorable, they can be sometimes angry, they can give trouble, etc., etc. These are all centered in a magical idea of religion, which later on developed into a spiritual type of religion with a touch of Vedanta philosophy. So in this case, it is a type of magical religion. Therefore, yaksha rakshamsi, yakshas and rakshasas, rajasic people worship. There is power there. They also want power. Then pretan bhodakanamsya anye yajante tamasa janaha. Those who are tamasic in their tendency, they worship pretan, ghost, bhodaganan, various types of other subtle beings full of power, bhutas they are called. A man can be afflicted by a bhuta. One type of ghost is called preta, another type of ghost-like being is bhutagana. These are all there, and tamasic-minded people like to worship this type of thing. According to their mental disposition, their way of worship develops. So these are the three types. Then, ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyante ye tapojanaha dambhahankara samyukta kamaraga vilanvitaha karshayanta sharirastham bhodagramam achetasaha manchaiva antasharirastham tan vidhi asura nishchayan. Here are types of people whose determination is asuric, based upon the asuric nature, devilish nature. About this we have already seen in an earlier chapter, Deva, Deva and Asura character. So these are the Asura Nishchaya, whose determination guided by asuric tendencies. So they do various types of tapas, What are they? Ashastra bhitam, ghora. Tapas or austerity, not at all sanctioned by the shastras. Ghoram, terrible. Also, tapyanteye tapojanaha. They do that kind of tapas or austerity. Dambha ahankara samyuktaha. Full of dambha, arrogance, ahankara, pride. With these attitudes, they enter into this type of worship. Kamaraga balanvitaha. Full of desire and attachment. That also prompts them to this type of worship. Karshayanta sharirastham. The soul that is in the human body, they are troubled a good deal through their severe austerities. Not only the soul, I am also in them. They give trouble to me also within. Karshayanta sharirastham. Then bhutagramam acetasaha. Also other beings around, they bring trouble to them through their tapasya. Mam chaiva anta sharirastham. And I also, living in them, they give trouble to me also. These people are asura nishchayan. Asuric tendency or disposition is theirs. So, practicing severe austerities, not enjoying the shastras, given to ostentation and egoism, possessed with the power of lust and attachment, torture, senseless as they are, all the organs in the body, and me dwelling in the body within, know them to be of asurika resolve. This is one type. Every society has some small group or big group of this kind of tendency. If the spiritual teachings are properly understood, these people will become less and less in number. But even then, there will be always some nook and corner, people of this tendency, the asuric tendency. Then, aharastapi sarvasya. In food also, there is this distinction. What are they? Aharastapi sarvasya. Trivito bhavati priyaha. In the case of food also, which is liked by each of them, is threefold. The sattvic person likes one type of food. The rajasic person likes one type of food. Tamasic will like another type of food. Yajñas tapas tatha dhanam tesham hedamimam shranu. Now I shall tell you this kind of threefold distinction with respect to food on the one side and yajna, sacrifice, tapa, austerity, dhanam, charity. With regard to all this, we can always see the difference between a sattvic person, a rajasic person, and a tamasic person. This kind of distinction, listen to me, I shall convey to you. He begins. Now comes the first. Verse 8. Ayuh sattvabala arogya sukha preti vivardhanaha yasya snigdha sthira hridya aharaha sattviga priyaha. Sattviga priyaha, very desired by a sattvic person. What? Ahara, the food. What is the nature of that food? Liked by sattviga minded people. Ayuh sattvabala arogya sukha preti vivardhanaha. The food which augment vitality, length of life, ayuh. Then energy, strength, health, cheerfulness and appetite, which are also rasya snigdhaha tata hridya. Three qualities are mentioned here: savory, oleaginous, and substantial and agreeable. These are the foods liked by the sattviga minded people. These are very interesting words. Rasya, rasa, that means there is savory. When you see the food, smell it, you find it is very attractive. Food must be attractive even for smell. Similarly, snigdha, it is oleaginous as they call it, and not dry, just like a dry chapati. So slightly soft, that kind of snigdha. Sthira, steady. Hridya, the heart must be attracted to the food. That's called hridya. Hrid means heart. So, this kind of ahara is sattviga priyaha, loved by sattviga people. Then, next, kattu amla labana aptishna tishna ruksha vidahinaha ahara rajasasyeshtaha dukkha shokamaya pradaha. Those who are rajasic minded, they are fond of this particular type of food which is described in the first line. What are they? They bitter, sour, saline, excessively hot, pungent, dry and burning. These are the foods liked by the Rajasika minded people, and these foods produce pain, grief and delusion and disease. That is the quality of Rajasic food. Ahara rajasya seshta dukkha shoka amaya pradaha. Dukkha, sorrow. Shoka also, same thing, sorrow. Amaya, disease. All these are brought about by this kind of food. Dukkha is given as pain, and shoka is grief, and the third is disease. That is the Rajasic type. Now comes the Tamasic type. Yatayamam gatarasam puti padrishitam chayat uchishtam picha amedhyam bhojanam tamasa priyam. This kind of food is liked by the Tamasa people, Tamasic people. What kind of food? Food that is stale, 2 days old, they're called stale. The word for stale is yatayamam. Long time it has been cooked, it has become stale. So yatayamam. Gatarasam is there. All its taste is gone. Gatarasam. Puti, stinking. Paryushitam, also cooked overnight, long ago. Paryushitam chayat. Uchishtam, refuse. What is not originally cooked, but what is thrown away. Refuse, that kind of food. Amedhyam, also that which is impure. Amedhyam. Such a food is liked by the Tamasika people. Medhyam is a great word in the Vedic tradition. What can be offered to the divine is called medhyam. What can be offered in a sacrifice, that is called medhyam. So only in a pure and clean and fresh food is made offering to the divine. Opposite of it is amedhyam. When we eat the food, according to the Vedantic tradition, we are offering the food to the self, to the soul that is within us, for making it live well in this body. There is the Dehi living within the Deha, that is our soul. So the food is offered there, and the power that is within, the digestive power, that is also the power of the divine. So we are offering it to that power. So in all these matters, food itself is like an offering. Day-to-day eating is an offering. That we saw in the 4th chapter. The Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavi, Brahmatnau, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaivatena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. Verse 24 in chapter 4 had told us that the fire inside the stomach is Brahman. The food that we offer is Brahman. The offering also is Brahman. In this way, everything is Brahman. That idea came. Therefore, the word medhyam is used, fit to be given to the divine. Then only it is purely sattvic. If it is the opposite, it is tamasic. So, amedhyam is the word used here. The tamasic-minded people do not care for all these things. They will just take this kind of food which described according to these words here. Therefore, we call them tamasic. Individual items of food are not classified here, whether potato, rajasic or tamasic. That question doesn't come here. Any food that creates this kind of condition within, that is rajasic, tamasic, sattvic. Or any food which a rajasic mind chooses is also rajasic or sattvic or tamasic. In this way, the food itself, individually item by item, we are not classifying the food at all. Whatever you take, if you digest it, it becomes fine. It becomes strengthening to you. But if it is too strong, naturally it does harm to the body. So therefore, they are classified either as rajasic or tamasic. A sattvic food is making you wholesome, feel fine, feel light, feel full strength. That's all what is the main consideration in the question of food. Rajasic, sattvic and tamasic. Now comes the next subject, yajna, sacrifice. A tamasic person sacrifices, a rajasic person sacrifices, and a sattvic person also sacrifices, according to their own inner predisposition. That is described in verses 11, 12, 13. Aphalākamshipir yajño vidhidrishto ya ijyate yashtavyameveti manaha samadhaya sa sattvikaha. That yajna or sacrifice is sattvika, which is performed by men and women desiring no fruit. We don't want anything in return. Worship for worship's sake, as enjoined by the ordinance, by the shastra, and with their mind fixed on the yajna only for its own sake. There you can get the sattvic type of worship or yajna. No kind of commercial transaction. Purely love for the object of the yajna. Therefore we perform yajna. The mind is pure. Mind is without any selfish motivation. That's called sattvika yajna. Then rajasic. How does it come? Abhisanthayetu phalam dambharthamiva chaivatat jaivayat ijjate bharatashreshtha tam yajnam vidhi rajasam. Know that yajna to be rajasic, O Arjuna, the seeking for fruit, which seeks for fruit. I must get this result from this particular worship or yajna. And for ostentation, I want to show off to people. I have plenty of money. I want to show off. We have seen it in human life. Those who have plenty of money, they show off in marriages and other occasions. Show off is needed for them. Rajasic type. That is the nature of this worship. That which is performed seeking for fruit and for ostentation, know it to be a rajasika yajna. Then comes tamasika. Pitihinam, asrushtannam, mantrahinam, adakshinam, shraddha virahitam yajnam, tamasam parijakshate. Yes, that yajna is tamasika, which is performed without any heed to shastra or ordinance, in which no food is distributed to the waiting devotees or poor people, which is devoid of mantras and similarly gifts, and without any shraddha, faith. That is tamasika type of yajna. So several aspects are mentioned here. Vidihinam, without any caring for ordinance of the shastra. What does shastra say? Let me do according to that. There is no such thing. Just an impulse from within. Mantrahinam, no mantras. Adakshinam, no dakshina, or gift, or charity. Shraddha virahitam, free without any shraddha. There is no shraddha in the work he is doing, till he is doing it. Tamasam parijakshate. That is tamasic type of yajna. Then comes verse 14 about the idea of tapas. 3 types of tapas. Austerity. Tapas is a great word in Sanskrit and Vedantic philosophy. Here he is dealing with the usual type of tapas we do by physical austerity, fasting, such things. And in that connection, the guidance is given. A sattvika will do like this, rajasika will do like this, tamasika will do like this. If we know this, if I am tamasika, I can try to improve and make it into rajasika, later on sattvika type. It is good to know the classification so that we can choose. We have the power to choose. I did not remain tamasika all the time. I can change it over. So that's the nature of tapas. 3 types mentioned here. Deva Dvija Guru Pratya Pujanam Shaucham Arjavam Brahmacharyam Ahimsa Cha Shariram Tapa Uchyate. Tapas is first physical tapas, physical austerity. What is that? It is worship of the devas, then worship of the holy people, Dvija. Here it is called twice born, the Brahmana. In India, the Brahmana represented the spiritual life. Absolutely poor, money matters, but intellectually, spiritually high. That Brahmana is highly commended in the Upanishads and in Buddha's teaching. It is a quality of life. So we respect them, we worship them. That's called pujanam, it is. Worship of the devas, of the dvijas, twice born. Actually it is a wonderful word, this dvija. Human beings are dvijas. All human beings are dvijas. Why? We have got 2 births. One, birth through the mother, genetic birth. Second, birth into the world of knowledge through education. As soon as the child is 2 or 3 years old, it starts a second birth into the world of knowledge. Therefore, human being is called Dvija. Originally the prerogative of everyone. Later on, people became so busy with their own worldly affairs, they had no time to think of Vidya or knowledge. So as specialized people became devoted to knowledge. They advanced knowledge in all directions. That is the Brahmana in the history of India. They were really intellectual, great contributions to knowledge they have made. And so the word Dvija became applied eventually only to one group of people. Actually, every human being is Dvija, double birth, physical birth, knowledge birth, or spiritual birth. Dvija also means in Sanskrit the bird. Bird has 2 births. One is as an egg, second is from outside the egg, coming with wings. So bird also is called Dvija. Ji means to be born. So, Deva Dvija Guru, the teacher, the Pratnya, the wise man, Pujanam, worship of such people. What a beautiful idea. With this human body, we are trying to honor and worship those people to whom worship is due. Deva, Dvija, Guru, Pratnya, Pujanam. Then Shaucham, cleanliness. Real tapas of the body is cleanliness. Keep it clean. Arjavam, straightforwardness. The body must behave in a straightforward way. Arjavam says. purity, straightforwardness. Similarly, brahmacharyam, self-control, is very necessary. Continence, ahimsa cha, non-violence, non-injury to other beings. Shariram tapo uchyate. All this is called physical tapas. Tapas with the body. We have a body, we want to train this body in the best manner possible. Through these ways, you can make the body the finest instrument for your own life's higher purposes. So that is called Shariram Tapa Uchyate. Then, next comes speech, tapas of speech. Tapas of body, next is tapas of speech. This human tongue, it needs a lot of discipline. That is being given in the shloka, verse 15. Anudvekakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vangmayam tapa uchyate. Very fine items are mentioned here. Speech which causes no vexation or pain to others. That is very important. Tapas of speech. Anudvekakaram vakyam. Udvega means agitation. A speech which doesn't make the other man's mind agitated. That speech only we should do. That is way to control speech. To do tapas at the level of speech. So anudvekakaram vakyam. Satyam, truthful. The best discipline of speech is truth. All speech must be based on truth. Satyam, priyahitam. It may be satyam, but it should not be unpleasant to others. So it should be pleasant, priyam, and hitam, to their welfare. The word I utter is truthful, but it must bring also happiness and welfare to other people. It should not injure other people. Therefore, this qualification is given along with satyam. Then swadhyayabhyasanam, continuous pursuit of knowledge through study. That is swadhyaya, regular study of great books dealing with knowledge. So that is another way of the use of the tongue, use of the power of speech. Vangmayam tapo uchyate. These are all tapas relating to the human speech, or the tongue, which is the instrument of speech. Vangmayam tapo uchyate. In the famous Manusmriti, the famous book, it is given this same teaching there. Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat, not bruyat satyam apriyam. Speak what is true, satyam bruyat. Priyam bruyat, speak what is pleasant. And na bruyat satyam apriyam. Don't speak truth if it is going to be unpleasant to the listener. Truth which is not unpleasant to the listener. That's a very good restriction given to us in the course of speaking truth. Like if you see a blind man, oh you blind man, what you said is true, but it causes pain to the other person. So don't speak that truth. So truth which doesn't cause unpleasantness to others. That is how we can discipline the human speech. And it is a great work to discipline the human speech. The tongue is a great instrument. First for taste and eating and nourishment. Second for speaking, communicating, and either creating rift or bringing harmony. All this is done by this little instrument of speech called the tongue. And much good can come from the tongue. Much evil can come from the tongue. A whole friendship will be broken by one utterance of the tongue, and by one utterance it can bring about peace where there has been dispute and war. That is why Vedanta places great emphasis on the discipline of speech. I remember As a little boy, I was using foul language to some other student. My mother heard it and she quietly told me, "Boy, your tongue is the home of Saraswati, the goddess of wisdom. Don't use it for foul purposes." That one remark had a great effect on my mind. This tongue should be used only for good purpose, to bring peace and harmony. That kind of determination came after hearing that chance remark from the mother. Such things happen in human life. A chance remark from anybody can change our life itself. So here is that discipline. Satyam priyahitam chayat, swadhyayabhyasanam, continuous study. The tongue must be used to study and to repeat what you study. In this way, behind the tongue is the mind. The tongue helps us to reach the mind and to the reason that is behind. So all this begins on the tongue. Speech communication is the beginning of human culture. And so the tongue has a great role to play in the advancement of knowledge, development of culture, civilization, and finally to achieve spiritual realization as well. So this is called tapas at the level of the tongue. Vangmayam tapa uchyate. The tapas of speech, the austerity of speech is of this nature. This is what? The next one, the speech, the austerity of what you call mind. Body, speech and mind. Mental austerity from the theme of verse 16. Manaprasada saumyatvam maunam atma vinigraha pavasamshuddhirityetat tapo manasamuchyate. This kind of tapas is called manasika tapas. At the mental level, this is the way to perform austerity or tapas. What is the way? Manaprasada, that kind of tranquility of mind, the serenity of mind. Prasada is a beautiful word, serene attitude, no distraction within. In the second chapter, Krishna had introduced this word prasada, that prasada by which you feel pleasant, happy, serene, no tension, no distraction within. That is called manaprasada. So try to develop that prasada attitude in the mind. Train the mind in that direction. That's called mental austerity. There are many occasions to disturb the mind, and we try to bring it back to that serene state. That itself is the tapas at the level of mind. Manaprasada, saumyatvam, kindliness, gentleness. That's called saumyatvam. A person looks at you, feels attracted, not repelled. With an angry face you look, the man, all people will run away from you. No, have that attraction by being gentle and human. That is where kindliness comes in. Be human. Manaprasada saumyatvam. Maunam. Then comes silence. It's a wonderful idea. Mind practicing silence. Mind is constantly being jostled about by the input of the sensory system. And we are trying to keep the mind as balanced as possible. That effort is the mind tapas. So, the word maunam, silence. Let it be calm and quiet, the mind. But it doesn't mean no speaking at all. Speaking what is necessary, what is needed, and nothing more. Loquacious attitude, chattering attitude of the mind should not be there. That is where tapas comes in. Train the mind in this direction. This is all training of the mind, to make it a good instrument for the pursuit of truth and human welfare. That training is necessary. In fact, the very soul of education is this training of the mind. You may have all the knowledge in the world, in the brain, that won't do any good to you or to others. But if the mind is trained, whatever knowledge you have will be for your own welfare and the welfare of society. So, manaprasada saumyatvam, maunam, silence. That means controlled speech, that's silence. Maunam. Maunam actually means thoughtfulness in speech. There must be thought behind the speech. That speech is maunam. Maunam sometimes means absolute silence. That's only a practice, specialized practice. Normal condition is, I don't speak when there is nothing worthwhile to speak. Then I keep quiet. That state is called maunam. Atma vinigraha, perfect self-discipline, self-control. All these various energies in the psycho-physical system is running about here and there, drawing us this side, that side, in various directions. We organize them, we discipline them, we don't allow them to go as they like. They are like the horses or a chariot. In the Kathopanishad, the chariot imagery is beautifully given there. We want to achieve life purpose. Nature has given you a whole equipment for it. What are they? The body. It stands for the chariot. But body has no motive power. Chariot has no motive power. We tie horses. They have energy. And so, here we have the sensory system in the body, full of energy. Then, if they start moving, they will go wherever they like. And they will never go in one way. They will be drawn in different directions, all the horses that are there. So we need to control these horses. So we have the reins. And the reins here, the human body, is the manas. This sixth sense called manas, which coordinates all the five senses. So the reins coordinate all the horses. Then somebody must hold the rein. Otherwise there is no meaning. A horse without reins is better than a horse with reins if nobody holds the reins. That is there in every human body. That is buddhi, reason, understanding. And in the chariot, the driver, the charioteer, in his hand the reins are there. And you, sitting in the chariot to undertake your journey. These are the equipments for you, said the Upanishad. And here, we must make sure that the chariot is roadworthy, horses have plenty of strength and power, the reins which are strong, should not snap with one pull, and then the buddhi, the driver, must be calm and quiet, of a balanced mind, can't be inebriated, then your journey will suffer. So a calm, silent buddhi, or reason, as a driver of the chariot is necessary. When you have all these equipments, you are sure to reach the end of your journey with success. A victorious journey it will be. That is the language of the Katha Upanishad. In 7 beautiful verses, this imagery of the chariot is given in that Upanishad. Plato, in his dialogues, also makes Socrates tell us something about this chariot imagery, but a little less in detail. The best and fullest you get in that Upanishad description. Here he says, therefore, Maunam Atma Vinigraha. The horses must be properly controlled. Otherwise, it will be the horse's journey and not your journey. You will be a victim of the journey of the horses. In civilization, very often it happens, the sensory system pulls the human being here and there. He becomes a victim and he suffers thereby. He has no control over that sensory energy. Nature created, evolved the cerebral system to be able to regulate the activities of the sensory system. But we never give that kind of work to the cerebral system. It becomes apathetic. The senses overrule everybody there. That is why life fails thereby. So, Atma Vinigraha, discipline and control of the nervous energies, sensory energies that are within us, so that we shape them to the direction we want our journey to go. That is done by the mind, by buddhi, by enlightened reason. That is the importance of having this kind of inward discipline. Bhava samshuddhi. Along with that also, honesty and purity of motive. Bhava samshuddhi. The mental disposition must be pure, must be honest. All this, tapo manasam uchyate. This is called manasikam tapas. Now we have tapas of the body, tapas of speech, tapas of mind. Practically the whole human being is under tapas. What a beautiful tapas this is. Tapas is highly praised in Indian literature. In the Upanishad, it is said, the Dietary Upanishad, that Brahman evolved the cosmos out of itself through tapas. That's language. The whole universe is a product of the tapas of Brahman. And so, if you want to realize Brahman, practice tapas, says the Dietary Upanishad. Tapasa Brahma vidijñāsasva tapo brahmeti. Realize Brahman through tapas. Tapas is Brahman. Means and ends are one. Tapas is Brahman. And through tapas you attain Brahman. If that is so, then what is tapas? Then Shankaracharya quotes one of the finest definitions of this thing called tapas. We may have various ideas of tapas. Our people had various ideas. They put them to practice. All these are rajasic, tamasic types of tapas. We have seen already some of them. Fasting for days together, sitting in the hot sun, all these things are tapas. They may have small value to show that you have control over the body. They have no positive value. They are not creative in that sense. But Shankaracharya gives a definition taking a quotation from Yajnavalkya Smriti in that commentary on the Dietary Upanishad passage. What is that wonderful verse? Manasascha indriyanamcha aikagryam tapo uchyate tachreyas sarvadharmanam sadharma parama smritaha. The concentration of the energies of the mind and the sensory system is known as tapas. That is the greatest dharma. Any great achievement in life, whether it is social life, whether it is in physical science, or in money making, or in knowledge, or in realization of God, all can come only through tapas. This is the tapas we need, concentrating the sensory and psychic energies within, then throwing it on to the problem. We solve the problem. Therefore, that is the finest definition we have on the subject of tapas. Manasascha indriyanam cha aikagryam. Ekagrata means concentration, one-pointedness of manas and sensory energy system. That is the highest dharma, supreme dharma, says at Yajnavalkya Smriti verse. So here, manaprasada saumyatvam mavanam atma vidigraha bhava samshuddhirityetat tapo manasamuchyate. This is the manasam tapas. Now, when you do all these tapas in a sattvic way, rajasic way, tamasic way, says Shraddhaya paraya taptam tapastat tvividham naraihi apalakamshipir yuktaihi satvikam parichakshate. This threefold austerity practiced by steadfast men and women, steadfast and steady, with great shraddha, with faith, desiring no fruit, is said to be sattvika. Tapas becomes sattvika when these qualities belong to it. Threefold austerity, practiced by steadfast men and women, with great shraddha, faith, desiring no fruit, that is sattvika. The next is rajasika. Satkaramana purvartham tapo dambhena chevayat kriyate tadiha proktam rajasam phalam adhruvam. That very austerity which is practiced with the object of gaining applause See the language. You want other people to applaud you. Then seeking honor and worship from people around, doing it with ostentation, is said to be rajasiga, unstable and transitory. It cannot be steady. As soon as the applause stops, I also stop my tapas. Until I get an applause, I go on. Therefore it is rajasiga, not steady. You say, satkaramana pujartham. Satkara means welcome, honor. Mana, honor. Puja, again, worship and respect. Tapo dambhena chaivaya. Dambha means arrogance, that ostentation. Kriyate tadiha proktam rajasam. Chalam adhruvam. It is chalam, unsteady. Adhruvam also means unsteady. It comes and goes, never remains. That is the rajasic type of tapas. Now comes tamasic type. Mudhagrahena atmano yat pedaya kriyate tapaha parasya utsadanartham va tat tamasam udahatam. That is tamasic austerity, which is practiced out of a foolish impulse. See that? Then with self-torture and for purpose of ruining somebody else. This is declared tamasika. Body, speech and mind can be used for this low purpose. That is tamasika type. Let people know it is tamasika. Let them get the feeling, I must change. I must rise to something higher. Rajasic, finally tamasic, sattvic. So this question of evolution of spiritual life is possible when we know there is that possibility. So this description is meant only to help us in that. I may be at the low level, but I need not remain there. There is something better. There is something better. Let me know it. Let me implement it. That attitude must come to the person concerned. So, tamasika type. Now, dana, gift, a great subject. What is the type of gift? Rajasic, tamasic and sattvic. That is the next, those three verses. Datavyamiti yad danam diyate anupakarine deshe kalecha patrecha tad danam sattvikam smrutam. That dana is known as sattvika. That gift, that charity is known as sattvika, which fulfills these conditions. What are the conditions? To give is the right thing to do. That conviction. I do it because it is the right thing to do, not because I have been prompted by somebody else. So that is the first condition. Then one who is not capable of returning the gift back to you, then only it becomes truly sattvic. Diyate anupakarine. A person who is not in a position to repay you what you give him as a gift, then only it becomes a true gift. Otherwise it becomes an exchange, a commercial exchange. The value of gift goes away. So anupakarine, he is really in need, I humbly go and give him without destroying his self-respect, without developing arrogance in myself. If I have no arrogance while giving, it will never destroy the self-respect of the receiver. So, dadavyam iti yad danam diyate anupakarine. Then comes the qualification. Deshe kalecha patrecha. Taking into account the place where the charity is given, and the person whom it is given, and the time it is given. All these three are taken into account. Right person, right time, right place. That means a lot of discrimination is needed in this type of gift or charity. That is what makes for sattvika charity. Then next, rajasika, verse 21. Yattu pratyapakarartham phalamuddyashya vapanah diyateja pariklishtam taddanam rajasam smritam. That dana, charity or gift, is known as rajasika, which